Support WrestleTalk!
Make WrestleTalk.com your homepage for all the latest breaking wrestling news. Wrestling fans are the worst, are we? Yes, probably sometimes, but not all the time. Like the story of AEW wrestler Cezar Bononi shows. He created a GoFundMe to help cover his wife's leukemia treatment expenses, which has already smashed its $15,000 goal, partly thanks to his AEW boss Tony Khan, who John Alba has confirmed donated $10,000 of that amount. You can find a link to Bononi's GoFundMe in the description below. Meanwhile, I wonder what's happening in WWE. Oh yeah, people getting fired, terrible booking, and Eva Marie being pushed as a babyface. And as usual, major changes to all their plans. Ringside News is reporting that nothing is set in stone for Hell in a Cell on June 20th. Not only that, but matches that have previously been decided on are now changing drastically as well. We got one confirmed match on last night's Raw of Rhea Ripley defending her Raw Women's Championship against the Omni-Flare. However, this might have been one of the changed matches, as Asuka beat Flair on Raw the previous week, implying Asuka was originally meant to be involved in some way too. Or WWE just doesn't care about stories making sense. It's probably that one, actually. And that's not WWE's only big shake-up plan. Last week's SmackDown saw the debut of Rick Boogs, rather randomly, as Shinsuke Nakamura's guitar player. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select is reporting more are set to come, writing there are plans for additional call-ups to Raw and SmackDown, including talent from both NXT and NXT UK, and that multiple have been planned or at least in the works for a while. On top of this, talent in NXT have been speculating among themselves who will be called up in recent weeks. Who do you think is getting called up to the main roster? Tell me how you can't wait to see your favourite NXT stars ruined on Raw in the comments down below, because I'll be replying to people for the first 30 minutes after this video goes live from out of nowhere. I reckon Roderick Strong, or maybe even that other new up-and-comer, Edge. Both Edge and Sasha Banks are being advertised for the first show with fans back in attendance, the July 16th episode of SmackDown. This would be the first time Edge has been seen since being pinned at WrestleMania, where he also technically won the Universal Championship, being on top of Daniel Bryan during the pin. These returns may be in addition to the rumoured John Cena return too, which is also reportedly being discussed within WWE for the same date. There's loads more news on WrestleTalk.com, including New Japan being scared about a mass talent exodus to WWE and AEW, Velveteen Dream releasing a statement on the allegations against him, and an update on Keith Lee. You can find links to all those stories in the description and pinned comment below. And also, subscribe to us here at WrestleTalk, as it is finally here. My wig, my arm gauntlet thingies, my tiny woman's top and skirt, and a little cute bow to go in my hair. Kawaii, kawaii, kawaii. Tomorrow I will present the WrestleTalk news, dressed up as Maki Ito as a thank you for helping us pass 800,000 subscribers. This is the reward you guys wanted. Subscribe and enable notifications to always on so you get it first. And now it's time for my review of last night's episode of Raw in about 5 minutes. The show opened on Bobby Lashley with his 5 beautiful sisters, who acted like his own personal Thunderdome section, cheering and booing on command and stroking his chest backstage. Wow, Bobby is really close to his family. This was all a setup for Drew McIntyre to interrupt to demand yet another title match. I adore Drew, but because WWE don't know how to book babyfaces, even I groaned when he came out. Anecdotally, I don't know anyone who's into Drew still going for the title at the moment, and him continually demanding a one-on-one rematch for the title is making him come across like a whining heel. WWE even showed some self-awareness of this trope, where Kofi Kingston, a man who really should have demanded a WWE Championship rematch quite a bit more, pointed that out, demanding he get the title shot because, you know, he beat the champion last week. Pretty good grounds, I'd say, but rather than valiantly stepping aside, Drew rather heelishly kept himself in contention. Definitely not Raw General Manager Adam Pearce booked a #1 contenders match between them, which saw McIntyre lean into that heel dynamic, throwing Kofi around. They had a really good long match, but I never got invested because this ain't my first Monday Night Raw. It was the opening match, and Lashley and MVP were right there at ringside. Lashley predictably caused the double DQ, meaning the last 40 minutes were an utter waste of time. Pearce booked a rematch for next week, while Lashley will be suspended for 90 days and fined if he gets involved. So Mace and T-Bar are coming back then. But as repetitive as the men's main event scene is, it has nothing on the women's division. After some stilted acting backstage with Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley accepted a beat-the-clock match against Nikki Cross. All plucky, genuinely affable, underdog babyface Nikki had to do was last 2 minutes and she'd win, framing Rhea as the bad guy. Confusing if she's going up against mega heel Charlotte, but at least she'll get a decisive victory. Oh no, wait, she just lost when she started beating up Nikki too much, which meant Cross celebrated because she got beaten up. With everything boring and generally rubbish on this episode, this was the most technically inept booking. The champion losing to a babyface who hasn't been around for half a year in 2 minutes, while she's meant to go up against a strong heel challenger later on. WWE are bad at wrestling. Asuka and Charlotte, however, are great at wrestling. They have fantastic in-ring chemistry. I can say this with quite a lot of authority, as I've seen them wrestle 38 times in the last 2 months. Again, the wrestlers are great. It's WWE's creative and booking that drags everything down. Charlotte worked over Asuka's knee and eventually rolled through an Asuka lock to pin her for the win after losing last week. 50-50 booking. A video package for Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander made the year-long Hurt Business breakup storyline seem like a coherent, well-told story that hadn't concluded yet, which is a testament to WWE's editing department, as it was neither well-told and Shelton beat Cedric decisively 2 weeks ago. Cedric cut a really well-delivered heel promo and he then won a decent match. Thankfully, we then got by far the best thing on the show. Sorry, I meant to say the only good thing on the show. I love serious Xavier Woods. It's a side of him you don't often see, just like his opponent here in Riddle. They had a terrific match to further the RK Bro storyline, which saw Woods hit 2 fantastic suplexes, and Riddle won with an RKO from out of nowhere to continue the RK Bro versus New Day storyline. This is being expertly built at the perfect pace, although it'll be interesting to see how the men's title picture affects it, with Kofi now being involved in the Lashley and Drew feud. After their boring match last week, it appears heels AJ Styles and Omos's first feud as Raw Tag Team Champions really is against other heels, Elias and Jackson Riker, who aren't even really a tag team. I might just be saying this because it's new, but I actually think I'm less into this than the idea of Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose, because this one involves AJ being beaten by Jackson Riker. Elias hit AJ behind the referee's back, which was just to set up the latest way to show how tall Omos is, which he is. That's undeniable and impressive. So in typical WWE fashion, they now want to focus on something he's not good at: running. Omos then slowly chugged after Elias and Riker up the ramp, with both men easily outpacing him as Corey Graves screamed, "Look at the speed of Omos!" and Elias had to slow down so he could be tackled into the Tron. Next came Sheamus versus Humberto Carrillo, a match we did see several weeks ago, but it got cut off due to a scary injury to Carrillo. Rather than give it actual time to do that over, Sheamus won in 5 minutes by grabbing the tights in a roll-up. He was going to keep beating Carrillo down until Ricochet made the save. Wow, I bet Sheamus is terrified. 2 people he's easily beaten clean, multiple times, barely an inconvenience over the last month. But WWE saved a nugget of corn on the top of the turd for the main event, because capping off this fundamentally awful wrestling show, Raw was main evented by Natalya and Tamina defending their women's tag titles against Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, a feud and match entirely consumed by how inexplicably funny Vince McMahon seems to find Reginald. Shayna told Reginald not to come down for the match. He came down a few minutes in for no reason. He distracted Shayna, so Shayna yelled at him for about 30 seconds, making the distraction considerably worse for herself. Reginald walked off, but Spooky Pyro blinded him on the ramp, likely due to Alexa Bliss and Lily as an extra layer of stuff I don't care about, leading to Nalia rolling up Shayna to retain. Baszler then challenged Reginald for a match next week, which I'm sure Vince will find hilarious. Rubbish finishes, repetitive matches, never-ending storylines. As 76% of you voted on our poll on a poll match on the community tab, Riddle hitting an RKO was the only good thing on the show. Personally, I find the booking of Rhea to be a new level of terrible, which is why I'm giving this Raw the lowest possible rating, 1 out of 5. Now watch Adam Blompier's 10 most uncomfortable board games ever made, including Spin the Bottle Family Edition. Maybe that's one for Bobby Lashley and his sisters.
Look at the front cover of this game. Absolutely no f***ing thank you. Spin the Bottle, fun for the whole family edition. What? Stop it, you two. Stop looking at what I presume is your daughter. Oh, I hate this so much. Like, from official pictures inside the box, at least some of the cards definitely do have kissing on them.